Let's bring in our Moscow correspondent, Nick Holdsworth. Nick, you were in Moscow in the early 90s. You wrote a book about that tumultuous era. Just tell us what exactly was happening on this very day 30 years ago.
This very day actually marks the formal legal end of the Soviet Union. There was a meeting in Almaty, which was then the capital of Kazakhstan, and the Almaty Protocol was issued, which was a formal declaration confirming the deal that had been cut earlier in the month between the leaders of Russia, Ukraine and Belarus in a hunting lodge in a Belarusian forest, that actually agreed to dissolve the Soviet Union and set up the Confederation of Independent States, the CIS, which still exists, which is a loose association of independent states now. So that was actually the formal declaration. The actual collapse of the Soviet Union, of course, is, as you've just referred to, when Gorbachev walked out of the Kremlin for the last time around 7:30 in the evening of Christmas Day, December the 25th, a working day in Moscow. The hammer and sickle was lowered for the last time, the Soviet national anthem was played for the last time, and within 10 minutes, the new tricolour of the Russian Federation had already been raised over the Kremlin, and that was it. The Soviet Union was gone. Gorbachev, conceding that that was the end of that communist experiment, said that the old system had collapsed before a new one had time to start working.
And of course, the years and months that followed were extremely hard for ordinary Russian people. Just tell us what life was like back in those days.
It was very tough. I'd been in Moscow in May of '91. I had watched from afar. Unfortunately, I wasn't in Moscow during the coup in August. I managed to get back in early January 1992. And I was doing a story for the Sunday Express in London about a village called Yeltsin. It was some distance outside of Moscow, and it was a collective farm, and the villagers had written to their namesake president saying, "Our cowsheds are in a bad state of repair. Please give us money to do them up." And Yeltsin had written back in very flowery language, but effectively said, in the new Russia, we all have to make our own way under the sun, basically sod off peasants and find the money for your cowsheds and somewhere else. My friends in Moscow at the time didn't really have any money or anything. I would come over with a suitcase full of dried milk powder and ladies' underwear from M&S to give to girlfriends there, and I was given vodka vouchers in exchange. I myself sold a pair of jeans at a flea market in Izmailova Park in Moscow for about 400 rubles, which was about £10 then. And that reference to Putin driving a cab. There weren't any formal cabs. You would wave down any old car, a gypsy cab. I had a lift in an ambulance one time. You'd just discuss with the driver, agree where you're going and agree a price. On another occasion, I paid a taxi driver in packets of Marlboro Red Top cigarettes because that was the currency. The going rate was $1 for one packet of Marlboro cigarettes. It was everything had completely fallen apart. It was like Rome after it had been sacked by the Goths and Vandals. It was an amazing, incredible, vivid time to be there. Very rough for the Russians, absolutely fascinating to be there as a foreign correspondent.
And just briefly, Nick, if you will, because we're quite short of time, but I mean, President Putin has long harboured a sense of bitterness about that whole chapter. And I think it's fair to say, isn't it, that that affects his policies and his politics and his attitudes today, doesn't it?
Yeah, earlier this month, he wrote a lengthy essay on how the Ukrainians and Russians were effectively the same people. It's a very Soviet attitude that Ukraine is basically Malaya Russia, as it was always known, little Russia, and the Ukrainians are basically just smaller versions of the Russians, their little brother. A lot of Russians do actually feel that they are one nation, but they don't see that in terms of that means that Ukraine needs to be part of Russia. There is this abiding sense of unease and insecurity too. The Soviet Union was a state to be reckoned with. Russia doesn't have that standing anymore. There's this myth that James Baker, the US Secretary of State, promised Gorbachev that NATO would not expand eastwards. Gorbachev himself has since said that wasn't what was said. It was taken out of context. There was a reference to not putting more US troops into East Germany. I think what Putin is trying to do up in the ante at the moment, he's basically trying to get some kind of new European security pact agreed, and perhaps is going about it in a rather ham-fisted way, and we shall see how far it goes. But certainly there's some brinkmanship going on at the moment.
OK, well, thank you very much indeed. Our Moscow correspondent Nick Holdsworth, thank you so much.